Lab Rat here with another crazy idea. Our team has been studying ionized water and the acid-alkaline balance of the body. If you know anything about pH, the scale starts at 0 being the most acid and 14 being the most alkaline. A battery acid is about a 1. Pop is about a 2.5 all the way up to about 4 or 5. 7 being neutral. The most ideal for the human body is 7.4, slightly on the alkaline side. And what happens to the human body is if you're below 7.4, toxins can accumulate. They're actually glued into the organs and the tissues by the acid and the ion charge of acidity of the acid particles, and can start shutting organs down because the acids accumulate. And also the body will develop osteoporosis as the body is dissolving calcium out of the bones in order to buffer the pH of the acid. And cancer lives in the pH range of acidity. It loves an acid body. And the researchers say at 7.4, cancer cannot grow anymore in your body, and at 8.4, cancer will actually die out. So the issue is to get the human body to 7.4 or above, but most of our diets keep us well below that in the danger range. So how do you get yourself to 7.4 and above? Well, one thing you could do is become a vegetarian, eat a lot of greens, a lot of chlorophyll, stay away from acid things like coffee and pop and chocolate, and stewed tomatoes and roasted nuts, all the things we love. Well, how do you know where you're at on the pH range? Well, one of the easiest ways to know is to go to like a Walmart and go to the aquarium section and pick up these pH test solution. It comes with a little color chart here, and pick up also some Q-tips. And what you do then is you take the Q-tips when you get up in the morning and you're urinating, the first urine in the morning, halfway through, dip the tip of the Q-tip into the urine flow, and so you get it saturated. And then put a couple drops of the pH coloring on the end of the Q-tip, and then compare it to the color chart, and that will tell you where you're at, what your pH is, whether you're in the deadly zone down here, where your organs will be accumulating toxins and start shutting down, whether you're in the cancer range, or whether you're in the osteoporosis range, or whether you're actually up here in the blue, green, and blue. 7.4 above is what you're after for maximum health. But one of the other ways of, besides becoming a vegan, of changing your pH is to actually split your water. And you can take, when you get the drops, test your tap water, whatever you're used to drinking, to see what the pH of it is, because water has particles of acid and particles of alkaline in it, and there are water splitters, ionizers, alkalinizers for sale on the internet from anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 that will split the water, the particles in the water. These are basically they're worth it when you think about how much of your health is dependent upon the alkalinity. There is another website, hiddencures.com. This guy has a unit that he has made for $160. This is also worth looking into. For that price, it is really worth it. He also has a lot of good information to read about alkalinity. But one of the members of our team told me that he had a way of splitting the water for $10, and so we started testing out his method for research purposes. And this is a little modification from what he had, but this is what I've been using and testing out here. A bucket, 2 gallon, 5 gallon, doesn't matter. And then I went to Walmart, picked up the Rubbermaid 1 gallon water pitcher. Rubbermaid is the best because it is soft enough rubber where you can actually cut into it without it shattering or breaking. And I put an 1 3/4 inch hole in the side. And if you want to use a jug like this, you can actually use a water jug here. Just put your 1 3/4 inch hole here. And then what I did was I took a sponge, and this is actually the corner of a stucco sponge. You can use a regular sponge too, like this. Just run it through the laundry first, or get it nice and clean from all the chemicals from manufacturing. And then if you're using the pitcher, stuff the sponge into the hole from the inside. This is very, very important for two reasons. One, when you pick up the pitcher out of the water, you don't want the water pressure to push the sponge out of the hole and everything drain out. Also, the alkaline water, which is antibacterial, will be on the inside. The acid water will gather on the outside, and that's why this is brown. We were running 8-hour runs with it, which is actually too long, and the acid water out here got really brown and murky and stained everything. But the acid water can develop bacteria. Alkaline water inside is antibacterial, so when you pick this up, there's a certain amount of alkaline water that will flush the acid. It will pour out the sponge, and it will flush the acid out and actually sanitize the sponge, so you don't have to worry about bacteria. If you're using this one, you can't put it in from the inside, so once you get done using it, it'd be good to squeeze the sponge out, maybe work some alkaline water into it. But here's how this thing works. The sponge then becomes a semi-permeable membrane. And you put the pitcher into the bucket, and these are the electrodes that we were testing out just for testing purposes. This is a camping kit. You can see that the spoon has been in the acid water quite a bit. And this is in the camping section of your local store. These are stainless steel. But one electrode goes out here, and the other electrode goes inside here. And if you're using this container, guess what? The fork fits inside of it. So you can actually use the fork inside of that if you want an electrode in there. This is for testing purposes. And then what happens is you get yourself a battery charger or a power source. 6 volts is best. You can go all the way up to 12, but 12 will tend to erode your electrodes faster than you want. And you hook the positive out here, the negative into here, and you fill this thing up almost to the brim with water. So there's water in here and water in here. Take about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, put half of it in here, half of it in here, and give this about 2 to 3 hours. And what will happen is the acid particles that are in the water will accumulate by the positive electrode. The alkaline elements will go through your sponge and accumulate into here. And it takes about 2 to 3 hours to do this. You can actually use your drops again to test the water. Take a sample of the water, or a little container of the water, or put it on a spoon or on your Q-tip or whatever, and put some of the litmus drops on it. Do not put the litmus drops into the water that you're drinking. That's a big no-no. But when you're done, after 2 to 3 hours, you take this out, take the pitcher out, and very quickly pour it into another container, because you'll see it'll be pouring through the sponge here. If you leave it sit on the counter, you'll have yourself a little flood. But that's how it works, and we've been testing this out, and the thing was working really, really good. But if you're going to be using it for drinking water, go on the internet and order yourself platinum-coated titanium electrodes, because they will not leach the stainless. I've been told that this does not contain the hexavalent chromium. Kitchen stainless is not supposed to have it in it, but still there's enough erosion off of this that we are concerned about the long-term effects of the erosion coming off the metals. So platinum-coated titanium electrodes, either from hiddencures.com or elsewhere on the internet, and do not use over 6 volts, because that will take the platinum coating off faster than you want. But it works well, and check your pH, see where you're at, and enjoy. Thanks for watching.